is going to go to. Sure.
Okay. My name is Valery.
Valerie?
Valery. Valery.
Valerie. Valerie. A friend. A good friend, right? Yeah.
I want to bring you forward because...
Sure, absolutely. They could see me, absolutely.
Yeah, is that all right?
Yes. We'll begin with Psalm 23, written by King David, who, as we know, went through a lot of different stages in life, King David, and he expressed himself in his beautiful lyrics and the songs that he wrote, but especially apropos in the moments and the days in between passing and being buried. Is it a difficult transition for the soul? And this is the words of David, that though I walk in the shadow of death, God is with me. That's Hashem helping the soul transition to the next stage of life as the soul takes on. Mizmor David, Adonai Eloi lo yechzor, b'nois deshayar b'tzeini, amei menuchos yenaleini, nafshi yeshoivev, yanecheni b'maglei tzedek, eleman shemoy gam ki yelech, begeit alamo voves lo yirara ki atovim avodi shiftecha uvo mishantecha emo hinachamoni taroich lefonai shulchan neget oiredoi dishanetav Hashem en roishi kaisirevoyo yachtoiv v'chesed yedefuni kol yemechayoi Veshavti beveis Adonai leyoirech yomim. Help him out. A psalm by David, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures, He leads me beside still waters. He revives my soul. He directs me in the path of righteousness for the sake of His name. Even if I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for You are with me. Your rod and Your staff, they will comfort me. You will prepare a table before my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil, my cup is full. Only goodness and kindness shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord for many long years. Friends, we're gathered together to give the kavod achron, as we call it in Hebrew, the final respect, as we gather for the funeral of a beloved husband, a beloved father, beloved father-in-law, beloved grandfather, beloved great-grandfather, and beloved friend to many, Leonid Khmelnitskiy. As we say, you're not always fortunate to meet every person. I did have the merit to meet him in the final days of his life. And Kirill told me that he's not doing well last Sunday, a week ago, and I went out to the hospital. It was just me and him, and I did the final prayers, which is a very big schus, a very big merit, to do the what we call the vidui, the confession, and the different psalms and different prayers that I said, and obviously saying the Shema, Hear, O Israel, and the Lord is our God, and so on. So it was just me and him. I did take a couple of videos I will share with the family, just of me singing it. So I do feel, in that sense, a big schus, a big merit, that I was able to be there for him, for Leon, and for the family, to help him with that transition in the final moments of his life. But I will share some words of encouragement and some ideas from the Torah after the family shares a little more that I want to hear myself about Leon. So for that, I would like to ask Michael to come up, and then Lana will come up, and then a friend who also asked, Valerie asked us to say a few words.
Thank you very much. Just
thinking what language I need to use. Doesn't matter probably. So Leon lived long, not easy, but very interesting life. Вы хотите, чтобы я говорил по-русски? Я могу говорить по-русски, пожалуйста. Просто по-русски некоторые не знают. Меня просят, I'm sorry for English-speaking people. Doesn't matter for me, but yeah, Leon language was Russian, so I'm sorry. I'll speak in Russian. В 1932 году он родился в Одессе, в семье одесситов, третье поколение одесситов. Его дедушка еще был одессит. То есть, если вы знаете, в Одессе тогда было второе по населению еврейское население, повторяюсь, в России после Варшавы, которая была частью России. 200 тысяч жило в Одессе тогда евреев, когда его дедушка жил. Отец его был инженер, мать была музыкант. Он окончил школу, как большинство советских людей в то время, и поступил в Одесский инженерно-строительный институт. Он даже иначе тогда назывался. Окончил его в 1956 году. До института, естественно, была война. Он был ребенком, ему было 9 лет, когда началась война, если моя математика не подводит меня. Они были на Урале. Папа его был директором завода, а мама его преподавала музыку в детском саду. И возвращаясь опять-таки к окончанию института, он окончил институт, и о нем мало кто знает, потому что жизнь, которую он прожил, и вот я немножко попытаюсь ее сейчас рассказать вам, вы поймете, насколько он был невысокого роста, но насколько он был велик. И если бы он родился бы не в Советском Союзе, евреем в Советском Союзе, то непонятно, как бы высоко он бы был в этой стране или в любой другой цивилизованной стране. Но даже там, окончив институт, его направили мастером в плавстройотряд. Я как сейчас, вот он мне рассказывал, это был плавстройотряд номер 2 Черноморгидростроя. В плавстройотряде они строят порты. То есть там водолазы 2-метровые и так далее. И вот он там, 1,60 м, закончил институт, еврей, приходит к этим огромным водолазам, и первый день на работу. Это по его рассказам. Они говорят: здравствуй, начальник. Он говорит: здравствуйте. Ему наливают стакан спирта, граненый стакан спирта. Говорит: давай. Он выпивает стакан спирта и говорит: начинаем работать. И вот так он начал свою карьеру всю в Ильичевске. Он построил город, он дошел от мастера до начальника строительного управления, которое строило весь порт Ильичевск. В 1956 году они начали строить, в 1958 он уже начал частично функционировать. То есть он после себя он построил паромную переправу Одесса-Ильичевск-Варна. Он построил рыбный комбинат в Ильичевске, такого мирового уровня. И я могу перечислять и перечислять. То есть этот человек построил порт, оставил за собой, и оставил за собой город, который он практически построил и провел почти всю свою жизнь, строя этот город. Что о нем сказать? О человеке, он, естественно, чтобы быть евреем на такой позиции и достичь этого, это надо иметь характер. Он был боец, упрямый боец, но других бойцов не бывает, бойцы все упрямые. И он, конечно, очень-очень много сделал для Ильичевска, для Одесской области и для страны. Он получил медаль, кстати, так просто, к слову, с Юрием Брежневым, сыном Брежнева, одновременно за строительство комбината рыбной гастрономии. Они получали ордена. Там некоторые ордена, Света нашла, они повесили. Был сильный, мужественный человек, который, не знаю, насколько он верил в эту страну и партию, но был ей предан и работал очень, очень серьезно и очень много. Он любил жизнь. Он любил жизнь. Он любил музыку. Я помню, как я с ним познакомился, мне было 13 лет. Я в первый раз познакомился с семьей, когда мне было 13 лет. И я помню, потом я начал приходить, и у него стоял западно-германский магнитофон «Грюндик». Но тогда даже в Одессе западно-германский «Грюндик» это было что-то такое. Семья, никто, ни дочь, ни жена, никто не имели права подходить туда. И он мне разрешил, подходи. Но когда я один раз подошел, я понял, что лучше мне не подходить. То есть я перестал подходить к Грюндику. Та же самая история произошла у нас с машиной. Я попросил его перед сдачей экзаменов поездить на его машине, и он сидел рядом. Значит, я когда ехал, и он все время тормозил там справа, что-то делал, я понял, что это первый и последний раз я еду на его машине. То есть он хозяйственник был. Он был хозяин был управления, последняя его работа был замуправляющего Черноморского треста, Черноморского пароходства. Что еще можно о нем сказать? Как я говорю, он любил жизнь, любил музыку, любил вкусно покушать, мог выпить. Когда-то много курил, потом перестал. Любил общение, любил компанию. Он прожил долгую, в общем-то, не хочу сказать, непростую, но простой жизни никто не имеет. Непростую жизнь, но он много оставил после себя. Как я сказал уже, и город, и порт, и семья. И Рэбе меня учил, что нельзя говорить, пусть земля ему будет пухом, но пусть он там молится за всех нас, за близких, за друзей, за знакомых, и пусть земля ему будет пухом.
Светлана.
Thank you, Dad, and thank you, Rabbi Gans, for doing this for us here. Thank you to the director of Berkowitz, Kirk, who is the funeral director that I worked with, who was very nice and accommodating to us as well. Also, thank you to the family, my dad, Michael, my mom, Ina, our parents, Gladisa, Ed, Alina, family, my husband, and Marla, and everyone else that's in our lives. Thank you to all of you for being here today as well, to wish Leon well in his journey to his next life, whatever that is. I know he appreciated everyone. He loved people. He loved to, as my dad said, eat. He loved to have a drink or two. And he really loved to enjoy life. I want to thank his neighbor, Rosa. Thank you. She looked upon Leon and was there at midnight when he was on the floor, picking him up, when she shouldn't have, because she has her own health issues. I appreciate it. And I know he did too. I'd like to thank the rest of the family and friends again for being here. And I don't know a lot about Leon's early life, but my father told you about that, so I will talk about how I know Leon and Leon in my eyes. Leon and Nellie have been married for many years. How many? 72, 75 now? I don't remember exactly. But when I was one, they gave their apartment to my parents and I in Odessa, and they moved to Ilyichovsk, which is an hour away. And I remember going there on weekends so my parents could go out, or at least that's the stories that I hear. And my dad would play Sveta, Sveta, nie skuchaj when he was sending me off to go there. From stories that I heard, I would put all my dolls on the bed, and Leon would have nowhere to sleep. So I would sleep with all my dolls there and my grandma, Nellie, and Leon would go sleep on the couch. Leon and Nellie came to America 3 years after we did, so they've lived in America for a good 30 years. They loved living here. Leon worked for 20 years in an American company in downtown, driving there every day, and good weather, bad weather, he was there. He was very, very optimistic and always wanted to work. I think I get that from him. I also want to make sure I have the energy to work and make an impact on society. And so he worked and he enjoyed life. Nellie also worked. She was an interpreter. She translated from English to Russian. Her English was very good. And she was a nanny for many years for a family that still sends her letters, I found. Till this day, the family sends letters to Nellie, though Nellie hasn't lived at home in a long, long time. I remember when they came to America, I remember Nellie and Leon driving me to dance classes. I remember spending time at the dinner table where Nellie would always say, "Можно я что-то скажу?" And we would all be talking like my Greek, fat Greek family, though we're not Greek. I have all of those memories in my mind. And but Leon, he was stubborn. He was stubborn. He wanted everything his way, like my way, like the song by Sinatra. He wanted everything his way. But towards the end of life, he couldn't have it his way. He had to rely on other people, though he always loved to be boss and in charge, and he had a prominent career as a builder, did a lot of things in life, and my grandma, very prominent career as an OBGYN and director of the OBGYN department. He was used to making his own decisions and used to being the boss, and towards the end of life, he couldn't do that anymore. So he had to really rely on other people, and it wasn't easy for him. But throughout my memories of spending time with them, I moved to New York in my early 20s, and when I would come home, I would go to their house, their apartment in Mayfield, and Leon would make me a gin and tonic, always with a lime. And Nellie would get out the charcuterie, cheeses, meats, and we would sit. So maybe I don't know Leon from the early life, but I know Leon and Nellie through my eyes, because they would share their opinion in life and I would share mine. And we had disagreements, but those are some of my favorite times. I don't remember when the last time that I did that with them, because when Nellie went to the nursing home, Leon stopped taking out the charcuterie, and I was the one that had to bring him the food. So you never know when it will be the last time. Everything always ends, the good and the bad. He loved to travel. Him and Nellie traveled. He went to Italy when I got married. He went there by himself, flew to Italy, enjoyed the wedding, even said the Hala blessing, I believe. When my daughter was 1, he came out to Chicago, flew in and took pictures. As John said, fellow photographer. His hobby was photography, so he used to, his apartment and Nellie's is full of pictures. I don't even know what to do with all of these pictures and albums. But he came out and took tons of pictures and enjoyed every occasion, even when he wasn't feeling well. If I would offer to pick him up or send an Uber, he was always ready to go. He was ready to go as long as he would be around people and enjoying food and drinks and good company. He was happy. He was a person, as Dad said, who loved life. He has a collection of CDs. He's got a collection of records. He used to love to play records. He used to love to listen to jazz and all sorts of orchestras. He really enjoyed that. So he was a worldly man, loved art and enjoyed music and family. And when my daughter was born, he really enjoyed having her in his life. I think that was very special for him. He would always ask how she's doing. And I think he really appreciated family when he got older, actually, more so than when he was young. Because when you have kids young, you got other priorities. And when you get older, you realize and your priorities change. So I think he really softened up. He was he was a tough man. He was to get through life, and he was not an easy, he was a tough one. But he softened up, I think, in his older years and changed his thought process and his priorities and what was important in life. He was doing well, lived at home, really, outside the past 6 months. He was in and out of hospitals and in the nursing home. He didn't go easy. He stopped being able to do things for himself, but he would always thank the caregivers. When I went to the nursing home to pick up pictures, the caregivers ran up to me and said how they miss him and what a lovely man he was. Again, he was always charismatic, but this is telling you that he softened up end of life, and he realized that he can't control or be the boss anymore, but he just needs to let it be and let other people take care of him, and apparently they appreciated it. He couldn't really enjoy things towards the end, so I think he was ready to go. He was ready to go. But we will remember him. We'll enjoy some jazz. Maybe not today, Rabbi, don't worry. We'll enjoy music. We'll enjoy having drinks in his honor and remember all the wonderful things he's accomplished. And as per father of the bride, it gets better with generations, so hopefully my daughter's not going to be as stubborn. Thank you all for coming. I was going to say all this in Russian, but I don't think I can do all that again. So, Розочка, спасибо вам большое за все, что вы сделали Лене. Светочка, спасибо, тоже вы ходили к Лене, я вам благодарна. И всем еще раз русскоговорящим спасибо за все, что вы сделали для Лени. Thank you.
Thank you, Lana. I do want to say, Lana, that some people would say, I remember a picture of a grandfather with a long white beard. Many people have a grandfather, great-grandfather, going back, from back at home in Odessa and other places. But Leon is leaving a family, and he has a great-granddaughter who comes to Hebrew school every week, and she sings Aleph Beis, and she's enjoying Hanukkah. So that's the greatest portrait. His children, his loving family and friends, and that's a very important thing. And the stubbornness, which it always comes along with the territory. But as Jews, we know the fact that we're still here, it's part of the stubbornness, as Moses said to God, that the Jewish people are what? Stiff-necked nation, Am Kshei Orev. And that's why we're celebrating Hanukkah, and all the other the Syrian Greeks and the Hellenists that tried to oppress us, they're in the history books, and we're here celebrating. I would like to ask Valerie to say a few words.
Я приехал в Америку на следующий день после Лени. И мы с ним в первый раз встретились, когда первый раз пришли в школу, первый класс. И с тех пор мы всегда были вместе. Все праздники, все еврейские праздники, все домашние праздники у них и у нас, мы всегда были вместе. Когда мои внучки приехали в Америку из Израиля, маленькой было 1,5 года, старшей было 5 лет, то через 3 маленькая, когда выросла, она не представляла себе праздник в доме, если там не было Нелли с Леней. То есть, когда такие дети маленькие так относятся к человеку, это говорит о том, какой он был человек. Все, что о нем говорили, это как-то нельзя рассказать все, каким он был. Он был очень добрый. То, что он был жесткий, Ну, а что делать? Советская жизнь заставила быть жестким. А душа у него была всегда светлая и добрая. Мы с ним имели очень много общего, как говорится. Я любил джаз, я привез много джаза с собой. Он любил джаз. Да, не против были всегда выпить с удовольствием. И вообще у нас получилось очень хорошее содружество на многие-многие годы. И вот когда только Нелли не смогла приходить к нам, даже когда уже у нас собралась новая большая компания, Нелли с Леней, они всегда присутствовали на всех наших торжествах внутри этой компании. То есть наша жизнь, она была очень тесной и светлой вместе. И я очень рад тому, что вот так нас вела судьба с Леней. И, конечно, мне очень приятно осознавать, что вместе с ним была создана какая-то определенный взгляд на жизнь в Америке. Пусть земля ему будет пухом.
Another point about the being stubborn, many of those who came out from the former Soviet Union, and they had to live through the difficulties of being under Stalinist regime, they had to establish that type of toughness. Just to, I don't like typically say jokes during funerals, but I just want to say, with the Russian language, I said a Jew was sitting once on a bench in Odessa, right, Mac, you know that one, and he was reading the Hebrew-Russian dictionary. The KGB officer comes running over. Were you trying to immigrate to Israel? What's going on? You can't go. Your job will be canceled. He says, no, I'm not going to Israel. He says, what do you need to know Hebrew for? He says, when I pass away and I go up to heaven, paradise, they speak Hebrew. I want to know the language. The guy says, good, but what if you go to hell? He said, the Russian I know already. So, I'm saying it because the fact that Lana mentioned the work ethic of Leon, and I see it by so many of those who came out from the former Soviet Union, who came out with maybe $50 or $500 in their pocket, sometimes even less. And most of them, 99.99, they didn't become victims. They worked and worked and worked more to put their kids through school, to be dignified, upstanding citizens of this country, to be strong and proud Jews, which they couldn't do back under the regime. And that is a testament to who they are. It's really powerful to be able to see that on the holiday of Hanukkah, the mere fact that the Jews were looking for that jug of oil, they could have given up. They knew they'll have one day of a burning menorah. Why even try? But God says, just put your finger, start doing something. You work, and then He helps us out to make the miracle happen. It's a combination, it's a partnership between us and God, and that's how it is in life. And my message to the family and friends is, based on King Solomon, as Shlomo HaMelech writes, that v'hacha yitin aliboy, that the living, those who remain alive, should take to life, to take to heart the lessons that we could learn. In other words, why are we here? How do we make our day a better day? And as Lana said, to have an impact on society. We all have a responsibility to partner with Hashem, to partner with God, to make the world a better place. That it should be imbued with God's glory. That's part of what they wanted to uproot back in the time of Hanukkah, to remove God from the picture. And we see it happening right now as well. And it doesn't help. It doesn't end up too well in the universities and all around the world with the hatreds and justified hatreds and so on. Because we remove Hashem, God, from the picture, emet, truth, and morality. So Hanukkah, what does King Solomon tell us? King Solomon is teaching us, I want to just zoom in to one specific name that we call it a cemetery. We're going out now soon to put him in the interments. And in Hebrew, there's 3 names for a cemetery. In English, 1 name, but in the Jewish lexicon, you have 3 words. One is called the Beit HaKvoros, the house of the burial, which that means, once a person lives, enjoys life, and at the end of days, no matter how long a person lives, they get buried and life is done. That's one way of looking at it, but that's not the Jewish way. The next word that the sages call a cemetery is Beit Olam, like one of the names of the cemeteries, which is the house of eternity, because we have a soul, but not just the body. A soul represents, as you said, that later on in life you be softened up. That's a soul perspective. The body just cares about self. That's not bad, it's just self-preservation. That's the nature of the animal. That's who we are. Neshama, soul, thinks about someone else. Love, family, love of a fellow neighbor, of a fellow Jew, helping another person. That's truly a soul perspective. I know it was musical. I'll just sing a short part of A.B. Rottenberg's song, how every person over here can make a difference in another person's life by helping out, being a caring person. He said this was for special kids in camp, where actually my sister goes to, Hask in New York, and the words go like this. That's the chorus. There's a small piece of heaven in everyone's heart, glorious gift from above. It will sparkle and shine if we each do our part to reach out and touch it with love. There's a small piece of heaven in everyone's heart, glorious a gift from above. It will sparkle and shine if we each do our part to reach out and touch it with love. That's the neshama, that's the soul. And that's Beit Olam, that's the house of eternity. But the third name is known as Beit HaChayim, the house of the living. Because the house of the living, what is that? The house of the living, that's when we make sure that Leon remains alive through the good deeds that the family and friends will continue to do in his merit. So he continues living on. As he said, it's another form of life. It's not the one that we could hug and kiss, but it's something that we could kindle. He'll continue his neshama to burn brightly through us doing mitzvahs, lighting the candles tonight of Hanukkah, the 5th night of Hanukkah, and putting on tefillin and lighting Shabbos candles and giving charity and helping another person. All those mitzvahs is an extension. We become his hands and his feet. Every time when his great-granddaughter does a mitzvah, his granddaughter, his daughter, son-in-law, great son-in-law and so on, and friends, it's all attributed to him. Because in that world, as we say, you can only take along receipts. You can't take along anything. You never see the hearse. It's not followed with any big U-Haul truck that takes along the money or gold and silver. Nothing. You go as you come. You take along the receipts as the good deeds that we did in this world. And for the soul to be elevated higher and higher and higher, it needs the help of the friends and the family especially, to continue doing all the good deeds that we do for the next many, many years to come, always to remember him. When it comes to the yahrzeit, to say Kaddish, and the year, obviously, it will arrange to make sure someone says Kaddish throughout the year. That's the mitzvahs, the good deeds that we could do in his merit. And we have that power, each and every one of us, to make sure that our souls continue to burn. As you see, as you light the candle, you can't just have a wick tonight. Take a wick, put it on, what happens? After 1 minute, 2 minutes, it gets extinguished. You have a candle with wick. If it's wax or oil, it burns half an hour. Depends how much oil you put in. That's the light of the soul. The soul needs what? Needs oil. The soul is a wick, but it needs oil to burn. What is the oil? The oil is the mitzvah, the good deeds that we do. So each person, Jew or non-Jew, has a soul, and they have to make sure to do their good deeds, to be able to make sure that their soul continues to burn brightly. And we will guarantee that Leon's soul continues to burn brightly through the family perpetuating his name and doing all good things in his merit. So the match is in our hands, as the Rebbe told Rabbi Mr. Avner, was a advisor for 5 prime ministers, the Lubavitcher Rebbe of blessed memory, and he asked the Rebbe what he does, and the Rebbe said, I see the body and the soul, and my job is to try to light their soul. And when he left, he says, Rabbi, did you light my soul? So the Rebbe said, you could do it yourself. All I've done, I've given you the match, and now you have to make sure to light it. So friends, the match is in our hands to make sure to continue that Leon's neshama burns brightly. May Hashem help that we should be able to celebrate happy occasions, simchas, bat mitzvahs, and other marriages, and other good simchas, happy occasions, in good health for the entire family. And we should be able to celebrate the coming of the righteous Mashiach speedily in our days, in these trying times in the Holy Land. We should have true peace and tranquility, and we should be able to usher in a time where we transform all the ammunition and all the guns to plowshares, as the prophet Isaiah says. May it be speedily in our days, and God should wipe away the tears. U'mocha Hashem Elokim, Dima me'al koponim, and we should be able to see Him very soon with the coming of Mashiach and the Tchiyat HaMeis and the resurrection of the dead. Let us say, Amen. We just rise for the memorial prayer. El mole rachamim, shoechein meroimim, hametzei menucha nechoino al kanefei ashchino, b'ma'alois hagdoyeshim utohoirim, kizohar, oroki amazirim, es nishmas Leon ben Yefim sheolach le'olamoi ma'avor eshenod v'tzdoko manasko voras nishmasoi began eden tehei menuchasoi lochein malo rachamim yastireh b'sevek nofov le'olamim V'yitzroir b'yitzroir achayim es nishmasoi Adonai unachalosoi ve'yanuach hamishkovoi b'sholom v'nomar amen. O God, full of compassion, who dwells on high, grant true rest upon the wings of the Shekhinah, the divine presence, and the exalted spheres of the holy and pure, who shine as the resplendence of the firmament to the soul of Leon ben Yefim, who has gone to a supernal world, for charity has been donated in the remembrance of his soul. May his place of rest be in Gan Eden, paradise. Therefore, may the all merciful one shelter him with the cover of his wings forever, and bind his soul in the bond of life. The Lord is his heritage. May he rest in his resting place in peace. And let us say, Amen. You may be seated.
bears, those are the actual pall bears. Right down the center aisle, those are going to act as pall bears.
Wie hat das gekostet? Wie vertut von dem? Sprache? Yeah.
Follow right behind.